I'd like to share some thoughts with you today from the September issue of the Christian Womanhood magazine. The theme is Cabinet of Counselors. And what I'd like to share is an article by Brenda Patrick, Talking to Yourself. A Hobby Lobby plaque I have seen reads, "Of course I talk to myself. Sometimes I need expert advice. So often we need to talk to ourselves more than we listen to ourselves. That is, we need to speak truth to ourselves and not listen to the doubts, fears, and negatives that Satan sends. I regularly use the following 7 golden nuggets of truth for self-encouragement. If at first you don't succeed, try again. My 7th grade teacher, Mrs. Vera Banks, made this statement scores of times. So often I repeat it to myself when faced with a tedious or exhausting project. Susanna Wesley, the mother of Charles and John, may have used it when training her 19 children. One day her husband Samuel remarked, "I wonder at your patience. You have told that child the same thing 20 times. Susanna replied, "If I had satisfied myself with mentioning it only 19 times, I should have lost all my labor. It was the 20th time that completed it." Number 2, compromise is corruption on the installment plan. This statement has been part of my vocabulary since Bible college days. Its truth has helped me form and stick with many spiritual convictions such as church attendance, the places I go, the friends I have, social media, music, and dress, just to name a few areas. When I am tempted to lighten up on a prayed over, thought through conviction, I speak this truth to myself. It means if I give a little, I will eventually give in a lot. A wise Christian man once said, "Whenever you bring up for review long-held convictions, you are headed for trouble." I'm afraid of sin because sin will take you farther than you want to go, keep you longer than you want to stay, and cost you more than you want to pay. Yes, I'm afraid of sin. Therefore, I'm afraid of compromise. Number 3, God will help me. Psalm 61:2 tells us what to do when we are overwhelmed. When my heart is overwhelmed, lead me to the rock that is higher than I. When life is overpowering us, we should utter, "God will help me." Isaiah 41:13 and 50:17. It is important that we follow directions when repeating this phrase. Each of the one-syllable words must be spoken slowly, then repeat and meditate on each word. It's like placing the Selah of the Psalms after each word so that it would read, God, Selah, will, Selah, help, Selah, me, Selah. Selah means to stop, think about it, and don't rush. The word Selah represents a pause between words, like a rest between musical notes. When we follow these instructions while uttering this expression, it will speak peace to our unsettled souls and difficult situations. I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me. Philippians 4:13 will become a reality in our lives. Number 4, when in doubt, do. When trying to decide if something might be wrong, perhaps you have been guided by a familiar Christian adage, when in doubt, don't. One day when I was vacillating about whether or not to do something good, the Lord brought this thought to my mind, when in doubt, do. Let me explain. When I'm hesitating about being friendly or introducing myself or even witnessing to someone, or whether or not to send a text or make a visit, I talk to myself and say, when in doubt, do. This precept helps me take the needed initiative. When God prompts us to take action to meet the needs of others, let's not shake off the nudging, but instead live by when in doubt, do. We will always be glad we did. James 4:17 supports this. Therefore to him that knoweth to do good and doeth it not, to him it is sin. Spiritually mature Christians don't get their feelings hurt. That's number 5. When I first heard the above statement, I thought, I'm not sure I believe that. Then the speaker enforced it with the validity of Psalm 119:165, which declares, great peace have they which love thy law, and nothing shall offend them. Pride is at the root of hurt feelings. When we are focusing more on God than ourselves, then nothing will offend us. Dr. Lee Robertson, the former pastor of Highland Park Baptist Church, often made a statement that parallels this verse. He said, when we are spiritually mature, we are dead to criticism and dead to praise. So the next time you are tempted to be offended, speak the truth of Psalm 119:165 to yourself. Number 6, you don't get what you expect, you get what you inspect. I started repeating and practicing this statement shortly after I heard Dr. A.A. Horton, the former president of Pensacola Christian College, give it at a leadership conference. Whether working with your own children, with students, or with a team or project groups, if you only give directions, even printed ones, and expect the instructions to be carried out, you will be sadly disappointed. You must follow up on your directives to see what progress is being made. This should be done tactfully, graciously, and helpfully, but it must be done. Inspection will clear up any misunderstandings or tardiness and bring about the desired results. Then the desire accomplished is sweet to the soul of all involved. Proverbs 13:19a. Lastly, number 7, do now what you will wish you had done when you stand before God. For the final nugget of spiritual wisdom, I've chosen something I heard a preacher say during an invitation. I liked it so much that I wrote it in the front of my Bible, which is a place I reserve for biggies. When it comes to any spiritual decision, whether it involves Christian service, soul winning, family life, or convictions about worldly practices, I need to do now what I will wish I had done when I stand before God, because there's no doubt that we will all stand before the judgment seat of Christ. Romans 14:10. Conclusion, when we learn from Nehemiah, God's leader for rebuilding Jerusalem's walls, that when he got very angry with the people, he reported that his first step was, I consulted with myself. In Nehemiah 5, 6, and 7. I challenge you to answer the following questions. Do you consult with yourself before taking action? Do you have some spiritual truths that you often repeat to yourself? Would you be willing to make such a list? We would greatly benefit if we would take the advice of a dear Mrs. Marlene Evans and say, shut up to the untruths that often enter our minds. At this point, we need to quote timely, biblical-based advice to ourselves. If we will practice this, we will be able to proclaim emphatically words from the oldest book of the Bible. How forcible are right words? Job 6:25. Are you talking to yourself? Boy, is that convicting to me. I hope it is to you. Rejoice in the Lord always, and again I say rejoice.